Hello, back again with this Erae 2, this time on its very fancy little stand. I've got a nice percussion stand that is holding this stand. It's very stable, and that way, you know, it's a little easier to shoot vertically. So this is already substantially changed from yesterday, this Autoharp simulation that I've put up on the Erae. Who knows? By the end of the day, it may be totally different. But I have now replaced this with a whole bunch of buttons. I'm going to run out of it because they're only going to be, you're only able to put 48 elements on this thing, and I hope they up that number. But now these are 3x3 buttons instead of 4x4, so that they're more spaced for finger sizes. It's much better, a little bit closer to a real Autoharp stuff. As you can see, I have 30 buttons here, and a couple of spare ones. This one is the shut up button. This is the strumming area. These are all chords in a format that I know, but you can't tell, but over on the laptop it tells you which chord I'm pushing when I push it. I've added features like these buttons are program changing buttons, or patch changing, sometimes people call them. Some synthesizers understand these, some don't. I am now running, this particular demo is running in BS16, sometimes known as Bismarck. It's just a sampler, general MIDI, actually very good and polyphonic. So I've cleaned up the note creating here. I am now doing that limited polyphony stuff. So I've told it can only play 24 notes, which is actually quite a lot. And so here we have the famous 1 chord. In this case, I have transposed it to D. This is the super shut up button. So you can hear that's a D. That's a D. There's a D major 7th. Here's a D major 7th with a 2 in it. And, well, I'll just go through these. And over here are fancier versions of these. Oh yeah, including my favorite chords, these. So these guys can be as you can see, how hard I squeeze on this gives you the velocity. And I've even put in a little aftertouch here. If you don't move, it changes the CC1, the famous control wheel. And also left and right, if you set that up, can control a different parameter, another CC parameter. So it's really cranked up now. It's got a lot of stuff. I mean, I can use a little demo of just using this patch changing buttons. There. Now I've got a completely different sound. A little difficult to play here. Yeah. Yeah, just like a real Autoharp, don't push the chords, you get a big bang. You can also push 2 at once to so here's the complicated chord, and here's the simpler chord. So I could actually set up a prism zither setup where you're always pushing 2 buttons down at once, which could be fun. On the other hand, I can have up to 48 chords or whatever, probably closer to about 40. That's plenty of chords. Not only that, but I haven't put it in yet, but I've set it up so that I can do the trick that I do often, which is I take a lot of my felts and just try to cut off a string's worth of felt on the ones that are color chord notes. So things like a 7th or a 9th or major 7th or augment or whatever. Those funny extra chords that put so much flavor into your jazzy chords. If you push harder on it, on my real Autoharps and strum, those partly cut felts come into action and simplify the complicated chord. And so basically, if you only had 21 chords, you could crank a few of them up and you could get more chords out of it just by pushing the button harder. The same thing can happen here. So this set of chords here, all of these could have alternates that come into play when I push down a little harder. Right now, it's not working. So there are good questions like, what's the lightest you can touch here? There it is. I wish it was a little lighter, but it's actually quite nice. I don't have to push too hard. So of course you want to hear something like, will the circle be unbroken, right? Oh, and this is in D. I can now transpose. So that's in D. You're not seeing this, but over on the control program, I'm changing this now to G. Now, something I didn't show the other day is that the Erae has a sequencer built into it that is a sequencer that is very clever. Let me go and turn the metronome on. It does not sequence notes or any of that. It just sequences the touch events, just like Lyre on the Amiga had a strum sequencer. It's literally what's going on here. So what I could do is I could turn this into record land and get it to do a few strums for me. Doom, 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 doom. Okay, there it is. It's doing the strums. Now I do pick the chords. Now that's a little tedious. That's because it's going at a kind of a slow pace. So let's put it at a faster pace. Oops. A little hard to get this to behave. Here we go. So this I'm going to crank up to about 180 instead of 120. And away we go. A little hard to erase these things, but here we go. So, you know, loops, sequences, I'm not too big a fan of that stuff, but it is possible to do, and you can play with these parameters and have some stuff. It's recording everything. Listen to that nice quiet setup there. I'm in a pretty nice bunch of patches here. Ta-da! And that's as far as I've gotten today. Talk to you later.